I am not a father. I would rather open fire than squabble. I will World Trade Center tower any of you thinking me coward. I got my eyes on Zion, heart on Kion, trying not to fry the wires on this lung-powered PA system. I've been working on my breathing, y'all gonna have to bear with me. I'm trying to get the empire to transform like Voltron before 2016 reaches its conclusion. Do y'all want freedom? Say hell yeah. My name is Antonius Northern. I am the executive director of nPOWER South Bend. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the achievements and accomplishments that we have been able to get done in the city of South Bend over the last 12 months. Soon I will be able to show you guys some images of some of the work that we've done here in the city of South Bend. First of all, let's start with our education suite, nPOWER South Bend. Our economic initiatives to make sure that African Americans and African American businesses can have an opportunity to come together and work. I show you guys the Black Buck. In addition to that, we have created a marketplace where black folks and black business owners can come together once a month, happening every month for the last 11 months. I show you guys the Think Black, Buy Black market. To ensure that black folks are able to work in the communities that they live and hopefully do business in, we also created a job registry where you can work together with your neighbors and inform your neighbors of your skill sets so that although they may not be able to pay the top dollar for the profession that you are in, they can at least employ you in whatever capacity that you have to lend to your community, our job registry. And last but not least, 24 different editions of the Anchor Journal, full of African American thought, powerful at that. And lastly, some of you may begin to believe that, maybe I like this sweatshirt a little bit too much. But it isn't a sweatshirt. Just like these black boots aren't just a fashion statement. I'm in uniform. And when I wear my shirt and I wear my boots, I know that my responsibility is to my people. And I don't want anyone to confuse the efforts that we put forth at nPOWER South Bend with some of the other initiatives that are going on in our city. And so I authored a piece of poetry that I'd like to share with you all to really encompass the reality that I live in. And it is this. Money won't make me simple. Money won't make me simple. Money won't make me simple. Going, it ain't an issue. Focus enough to see you. Hiding behind my people. Lying about your origins. Doing that Law and Order bit. Thinking that we won't notice this oppression. Black men. Black men trying to hang black boys like pilgrims. Either offering them a dirty cup or a new version of Jesus. It ain't crabs in a barrel. It's they bone marrow that you're scared of. They've been healing much quicker, been calling each other genius, but all you keep hearing is, that's my nigger. That's they grandparents in them. Still mad that they had to deal with you. 2 generations staring at you. That ain't anger. You are embarrassed. because you still don't get it. You get it and still don't give it. You're the type to work for it, die over it, and still don't live it. We call them air sippers. They try to budget abundance, share hunger, and act humble. Even though women know that that ain't part of the hustle, and they sometimes call you a broke nigger. And I ain't a token nigger. I got the same respect in my culture as I did at my lunch table. I didn't make it my life. That's part of the hype. I'm the product of spite that became foresight. Me mother Isis bore me 4 a.m. Me mother sun go rust. But I'm a child of the night. Before her, I do not worship. She make a man to fight. So good at listening, I don't have to lie. So good at partnership because I edify mine. Beast of the field, meet the soil. Money won't make me simple. Money won't make me simple. Going it ain't an issue. Focus enough to see you. Hiding behind my people. Lying about your origins. Doing that law and order bit. Thinking that we won't notice it's oppression. And oh, I got to be free. You see, being underrated is making me a card-carrying barbarian. Confident in its aggressive behavior. Loving the game like love's definition can't mean this. Make it an understatement. Because once you ain't the favorite plus better, you become your own patient, your own hater. But most of all, you know ain't no replacement. This drive in me ain't pride, it's instinct. Morals not determined by crime statistics, heartbeats, or a new pair of sneaks. I do this with no sleep like I only eat once daily. I got the spirit of El Shabazz after in Mosque number 7, pen and pencil principle loudly, knowing they clap for him, but they need me. And I ain't a pilgrim partner. My mama got more soul than Seeley. I don't want to raise the winner of a spelling bee, and I do not let pros control me. I was a man by the age of 18. I didn't need a prison or a baby. That's why the pain don't age me. I was made amazing. You know the movement. You don't got to name it. You know those ones that are playing, and you know the ones that play. I've been around the mob since I was 12. Most of them don't got a Facebook page, let alone a hashtag. Money won't make me simple. Going it ain't an issue. Focus enough to see you. Hiding behind my people. Lying about your origins. Doing that law and order bit. Thinking that we won't notice this oppression. This evening, I've had the honor of having 2 incredibly smart young ladies to help me to make manifest and to show what our plans will be for the future and just our overall philosophy. With that being said, I'd like to introduce you to Lisa Kowalski and Inania Okereke. We're going to go to a few of those wonderful Anchor Evening Gallery images that you guys love so much, and then we'll be back to have a great conversation. Once again, welcome to the Anchor Evening Gallery.
This is blood. This is the black and the power. We're making the black and the power. This is blood. This is blood. This is the black and the power. We're making the black and the power. This is blood. This is blood. Hey. Y'all doing okay out there? Gotta bring that energy level up. I think y'all clap your hands. I mean, like, put my hands, put it over there next door. All right. Give me a minute.
bit different. Not necessarily Christian, bit different. Nor ignorant to the blessings I've been given. The right reason is in me. The religion is what went missing around the time that my truth became the answer instead of my faith being a question. I'm not a conquering lion, I'm an eagle flying above Zion with pride in my left talon off balance on axis for greater distance as earth's children in God's village seeking healing for all sinners. This is painful, lackadaisical mentality of winning or losing, guilty students of all study and no movement until it's proven, but once done, excluded as a good reason, simply called a possible solution.
Once again, welcome to the Anchor Evening Gallery. I have with me again Lisa Kowalski to my left, and to my right, I have Inania Okereke. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation about the philosophies here that we have been trying to implement through nPOWER South Bend, and also some of the history of some of this African liberation philosophy and theology, and just, you know, those overall understandings that have kind of gotten me to the place that I am now, and is the origin of some of the work that we've been doing over the last 12 months and also over the last 2 years. So do either one of you guys have an initial question that we might touch base on? I know you were saying that you had some interest in some of the poems that I had just performed.
I just want to kind of thank you for the invite for this discussion tonight. I hope to learn just as much as the audience out there.
Legit.
So I'm excited about this evening, and I'm excited about what you're doing. So I thank you for that invitation.
And I was gonna say, and then Inania, kind of just to, I'm gonna kind of steal your intro a little bit, right? Inania has been an awesome supporter of the nPOWER South Bend movement, and in particular, she's done probably just over 10 performances, theater performances with nPOWER Theater, with that great series that we put together called The Passions in partnership with the South Bend Civic Theater, giving the African and African American community, or whatever moniker you'd like to fly under, an opportunity to really experience some of the art that was homegrown and put together inside of a great theater house. Really just want to say once again, thank you so much to the South Bend Civic Theater and all of those folks who were incredible patrons and sponsors of what we did over those 10 months. So Inania, if you want to tell them a little bit about your background, tell us a little bit about, you know, what you're doing here in the city of South Bend, and also tell me a little bit about your ancestry. You look like you come from the islands, gal.
Well, indeed, you're right. Well, yes, I grew up in South Bend. You know, I'm originally from here. My mother's from Bermuda. My dad is from England, but his father is from Nigeria and his mother is from Jamaica. So I'm kind of like a small little black nationality bean pie.
Love it.
But
love it.
yeah, I definitely did do the Passions. What was that, back in 2014?
14.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best summers of my life. I can definitely say I lived my dream for an entire summer. It was rehearsal after rehearsal. I called it the summer soap opera because every day he came back with another episode saying, Nia, can you memorize these lines real quick?
And you did, though. That was the most important part about it. Like, you were incredible. And no doubt, listen, this is no shade thrown on the rest of the cast, you know, shout out. I was just thinking about you, Tim Ryan. I was just thinking about you, Teray. I was just thinking about you, everybody. Yeah, right? Don't let me get to try to name all people. It's gonna look just like it did when I used to do the credits and I try to memorize people. I used to skip people all the time. Like, you didn't say Nia. Like, I didn't say the co-star. I'm tripping. So, but let's also toss it back over to Lisa. Tell us a little bit about your ancestry and also the things that you do here in South Bend.
Okay, well, I too was born and raised in South Bend, and my ancestry is my mother's African American, my father is Polish, and so I'm a hybrid of those two heritage or cultures. And right now I'm currently teaching art at a middle school here in South Bend, and I love it.
I hear some really, really cool things about your art program, and I'm very, very excited about them totem masks. I can't wait to see the pictures of that. I think that's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into your very first question.
So, prior to us coming out, you had introduced a lot of the initiatives that you have kind of up and running here in our community. Talk more about each of those things and how people can find out more information or become a part of what's going on.
All right. Let's start where it all started from, and that would be our education suite. We initially started out with a partnership with Indiana University, and we started with an entrepreneurship apprenticeship program. That was back in way, way back. That was probably, one of y'all had to be in high school back then. It was like 2010.
Well, I'm 30. So.
Yeah, okay, so maybe it wasn't you then. And what we did there is that we wanted to partner together with minority students with minority business owners and kind of bridge that gap so that students understood that there were people that looked exactly like them that were doing the things that they were hoping they could do. In addition to that, we also brought in 3 different levels of curriculum. We brought in this TAC program. We also brought in this Bridges Out of Poverty program that everybody in the city of South Bend is probably familiar with. And then we also did some coursework of our own with nPOWER. And so that was kind of like our first opportunity to actually write courses for folks here in the city of South Bend. So we did that thing first. And so if you want to get your young people involved or if you want to, in some way become maybe an instructor for nPOWER South Bend, you can always reach out to us via email and that's A as in Apple, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, O as in Orange, R as in Robert, T as in Thomas, H as in Heather, and E as in Elephant at gmail.com. Send over a resume or any ideas that you might have. You can also reach us, and that is as an organization. If you just type in nPOWER South Bend in your Facebook search engine, you'll be able to locate us there. But so that's the kind of epicenter of all of the other things that we did. That was our first rock that we threw in the pond to see what we could do. From there, we began to experiment with different ways that we could show our culture in a different light and really get an opportunity to just kind of create new partnerships in the community. And that's when we launched our theater company called nPOWER Theater. Our very first production was called Journey with an Atlas. Of course, that's a really cool play, I think, on that that Greek mythological character, and also that that little book that gives you directions to wherever you want to go. So it's a journey with a map, and it's also a journey with a supporting cast, if you will, or a supporting entity. So we did 2 different versions of Journey with an Atlas, and the very first one was about identity. The second one was about racial profiling, and we did a great narrative about what would happen if Trayvon Martin would have had the gun instead of George Zimmerman, and that production was probably the best and most well-received production that we put together, and the following year, we came back, did more programming. We brought out, I forget what. Oh, the Advanced Writing Program is the next program that came in. So as we did the theater program, then we actually rolled out a new educational suite to kind of butt up against that. So we were doing. So after your summer, then we came back that fall and started running this. Again, the Advanced Writing Program, and bringing a sense of writing to some of our adult education students. And what we were able to do is we were able to take folks who were already continuing their education and give them a skill set that they could use in modern day times, so that when they got letters or anything of that sort, they were actually able to decode it and see what the truth of that was, so that they could deal with the situations that were at hand. I mean, one of the biggest barriers for people to be able to function inside of our community is this linguistic barrier. So many things are kind of steeped in high level language that people just don't understand them. And so we wanted to break that down. And now we're moving into our third generation of that suite, and it's called Writing in Action. And what that is really cool, is that, and I'm kind of getting out of order a little bit, but after we did that last writing program, we then launched an African American journal. And in addition to doing the African American journal, we brought out 2 initiatives to go alongside of that. So like we really started getting the blood pumping inside of the organization. And so we created a job registry to go alongside and go inside of our journal from time to time. And we also created the Think Black, Buy Black market, because that was a communication tool that we had with our journal. But then we also needed to make sure that those opportunities were real for black businesses. So we created the Black Buck, we created the Black Market, we also created the job registry so that people could get a chance to work inside of those communities and really utilize that communication network. So if you want to get involved in Think Black, Buy Black Market, that happens last Saturday of every month. If you're looking for Black Bucks, send an email or even call 574-213-5151. You can get yourself some Black Bucks, and what those are is basically a gift certificate for anything that you might want to buy at those black markets. And then if you want to get your skill set listed inside of our trade registry, send an email over to that email address at amnorthe@gmail.com, and we'll get your skill set registered. And that's really going to be a really fun thing that we're going to do, because we're expanding that. And we're going into more neighborhoods, and we're making sure that more people get that listing, so that folks, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but just, at the tip of the iceberg, we as a community are struggling because we can't employ the people that live next door to us. We don't have any inter-community spending capabilities because their skills are priced outside of what we can pay. Like if I make $20,000 a year and you make $20,000 a year, I can't pay your salary, so I can't pay you to do what you've been trained to do. You may have some other skill sets though that I could utilize. So this trade registry is about flushing those things out so that we can create some inter-community spending, or just community spending. And so, yeah, those are all of those initiatives. And, at the end of the day, what it does is it should kind of calm a lot of the fear that people have of black folks wanting to do for themselves and wanting to actually create a situation and a system that can be beneficial to them.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Sorry, but
that's awesome.
It's a lot of work, so it's a lot of explaining.
Sure. So you touched on a kind of a word that I think I want to go back and kind of explore. You talked about identity a lot in what you were saying. How important is that for people to have identity? And is that a lot of what you're doing here is?
I think that's the key. The ancestors, the folks that came before me. I'm not the first one to create a trade registry. I'm not the first to create an academic suite. I'm not the first to create, like Marcus Garvey did plays, yo. You know what I'm saying? The Nation of Islam did plays. Nuwapians did plays. Hebrew Israelites probably have put on plays. As a matter of fact, I think I saw them about 5 years ago at the Martin Luther King Day celebration doing a kind of like a poetic explanation of their faith system. But all branches utilize these facets or hubs of humanity where people really tap in. So for me, those initiatives are the kind of the second tier. Everybody else is working on one key thing, and that's called knowledge of self. It's this understanding of who you are, and why that is so important is it makes you an agent, and that's something that we have been robbed of as a African people inside of this American experience. We have been robbed of the ability to create realities for ourselves. And so my responsibility is basically to recultivate that self-love so that we might be able to offer love to somebody else. I mean, that's a great adage that, you can't love nobody till you love yourself. And until you know yourself, till you have a sense of your identity, you can't pass along that love.
Okay. So I heard that you mentioned in the beginning of your explanation about the Nation of Islam. So, and under the guise of identity, who do you identify with? Muslim, Christian, atheist.
You-
Where do we go with that?
Yeah, and you know, in all honesty, I think this is gonna go over the break. So if it does, then I'll come back to it. Inside of any biblical or religious text, as it is stated inside of that text, I do not identify with any representation of a higher power as described in any biblical, Quranic, Rig Veda, Confucius writing. Like, I really wholeheartedly subscribe to an African spiritual concept. And so I don't subscribe to any ideology that allows for us to opt out of the morality of that higher power. So let me kind of give you this and just, you know, this idea of free will, right?
Yes.
So inside of free will, you can live inside or outside of the morality of whatever spiritual system you are a part of. Inside of my African spirituality, though, you can't live outside of the bounds of the purview or the strength or the power of the higher power. So you can't just make choices that are against God's law, right? Because we understand the universe according to this principle called Ma'at, right? And that's about balance, justice, reciprocity, harmony. And what that means, though, is basically what you were taught back in 7th grade. What happens to one side must happen to the other. There's causality, exactly. And inside of that system, right? Inside of that system of African spirituality, that ruling order of causality is basically what our higher power is. It says that you can't subscribe, you can't defeat, you can't supersede this entity, right? And that would be, I think, for the most part, or when you think of like using definitions to understand what you're hearing, right? Higher power, right? This higher power, this causality or this causal nature within the universe is the higher power. It defines the relationship that you will have, and not only the relationship that you will have, it defines the relationship that trees have, that clouds have, that rocks have, that fish have. And so, like, with this causality, I see kind of the divine beauty, if you will, that you can't opt out of. And so inside of that, I have a definite reverence for causality. I definitely have a great understanding of, like, there are things beyond me, beyond my will, beyond my emotional state. Nonetheless, when we come back, I'm sure there'll be more questions. Shay, and we'll see you in just a second.
It's more power to my ego. Be your own man, not just another single. Or it's not just another single. This Kunta Kinte in the White House. His mama told me knock a nigga lights up. This man Turner with an AK. A bunch of young niggas trying to make what? This Dr. King on some G shit. Before you judge me, think about it, Jesus. This Malcolm X back from the dead. Frankie Douglas in the trap getting bread. Harriet Tubman on the run from the feds. And trying to stop and put a gun to your head. And Langston Hughes on the pop track. Obama on TV, you gotta watch that. I said, this that nigga in spaceship. Now have you ever seen the nigga with a spaceship? And you ain't Newton building pyramids in Egypt. Trying to keep these white devils on some weak shit. I would mention Farrakhan here. In the belly of the beast, this is rush, nigga. I'm trying my Martin with a gun. George Zimmerman have his ass looking dumb. A bunch of shy rap niggas on a slave ship. You think that bitch ever would've made it? Now just imagine this country is in the South one, but if the Klan hit the black one, bitches outgunned. They took the color signs down, nigga. Racism still alive, look around, nigga. This soul train on a new track. That black dope, how you blew back. I'm under the man. up. Young nigga, what you want to call him though? The dream of a king alive in the flesh. If you a real nigga, come round with the best. I say welcome to the new black. Power to the people, best salute that. And all we want is our freedom, nigga. Look at the judge, tell them free my niggas. This young blue on some bullshit. I feel like Django with a full clip. I pledge allegiance to the block. Middle finger to the cops. Never ignorant, get those accomplished. Said don't worry about me, mama, I got this. Son of a black bitch with no welfare. But how we gon' live with no health care? The devil on my ass, I ain't scared of you. Well, I die for my niggas before America. This is spiritual massacre. Welcome to New Africa, huh?
I seen it, did you? All right. I guess we're back to a few more questions. Whomever would like to start, please go right ahead.
So right now, the hot debate is, politics. Tell us who you're voting for, or who are you siding with?
Woo!
Or at least in the primary.
Oh, man. All right. So here's the simple and short about this, and I'm going to kind of talk to you guys too at the same time. So I'm really anti-slavery. All right? I'm really about the liberation of African people. And as I see things at present, neither one of those inside of the Democratic nor anybody over there in the Republican, which I'm kind of like, that's just not a chance of probably getting my vote at this point in the game. But neither Bernie nor Hillary really reflect a mindset that speaks to what I believe is going to be liberating for African people, and that's my key objective. I'm what most folks would just simply call as a Pan-Africanist. I believe in the liberation of African people wherever they may be on this earth, and I believe in the liberation of the African soil for the African people. And so here's the thing, though. Inside of the political landscape of this country, there are people who are tired of racism. There are people who are tired of slavery. And they're not all brown-skinned just like me. And, there are people who say, you keep talking about slavery, you keep talking about racism, you're the one who's actually propagating it. No, that's just not true. In all actuality, the reason why people are shouting so much about why, or I should say shouting so loudly in opposition, why Black Lives Matter, why Occupy Wall Street, why you got people showing up in Oregon taking over federal buildings, is because they are anti-slavery too. They don't think that the way that you're treating them is representational of their humanity. And so for me, when I look at a candidate like Hillary Clinton, I can't see any semblance of what I would consider a liberating soul. I can't see anything that she has in the way of an initiative that speaks to freedom. And so for me, I can't side with her. And that slow pace of change is just not going to, well, it's not going to work for her. It's not going to work for this country. It's just not going to work. And for me, I'm just good on Bernie. He really wants to claim that he's a revolutionary, but he's more of a reformist. He wants to bring America back to its old values and its old mores. And unfortunately for me, the existence at present is probably just as bad as the existence that we had in the era just before 1863. And so for me, it's like you still want this system to continue. And according to my recollection, and I've yet to encounter any historian or any person who subscribes to a thing called logic, who said that this country wasn't founded off of slavery.
that this country's economic strength wasn't founded off slavery, that this country's legislative practices aren't based upon the perpetuation or the safety of slave-owning people. And so for me, yeah, I just can't see it. And for those kind of so-called Democrats that are in support of Hillary, I think you just have to understand that, like, you won't, nor will this system survive us. And that's kind of the reality that you're dealing with inside of 2016. These protests, the civil rights bills, the Emancipation Proclamation are all symbolic of losses for people who think like you. And the idea that we must kind of relegate our intentions to be free is just not going to be sufficient, and you will not survive the intention and power of this group of people that are called Africans, this group of people that are called the downtrodden and the poor. You will not make it. So no. And I guess to the Hillary supporters who say, Bernie can't get stuff done, I mean, so are you telling me that fate is worse than the mass incarceration? Are you telling me that fate is worse than the economic castration that was NAFTA when they shipped and allowed for these companies to shift all of their business to overseas? And are you telling us that the situation that Bernie is able to present is at all as bad as the murderous initiatives that is Libya? And I don't care about Benghazi. That's not my issue. My issue is that was an African nation and I'm Pan-African. So what that was it was an attack on my people and on the continent that I hold so near and dear. So nah, not Bernie nor Hillary, but if, it's kind of like, you got to choose the lesser of two evils, right? So if you had to choose the lesser of two evils, go ahead, and if you got to vote in the primary this time around, I would at least cast my vote somewhere near Vermont. You dig? Like, but, and I mean, this is me all in. I'm not going to, like, betray who I am in order to be in support of another person. You can get me all in, but I'm Pan-African all in. So when I say that, I encourage you guys to make at least the most quality decision with from Vermont, like, that's me all in, because at the end of the day, that's the type of evil I see inside of anybody who's trying to perpetuate this system and keep going this system. It's like when people say to me, we didn't own slaves. I'm like, word? You know what I'm saying? Did you participate in any of the systems? Are you like one of those cogs in the wheel that was more than willing to let tyranny pass by your doorstep and allow for my people to be enslaved and to be downtrodden? If you did, then I count you in the same number. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you came up to a Jew and told him that you was an SS officer, but you didn't give all of the orders, or that you just made copies at the SS office. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I see that racism and slavery didn't stay stagnant. I see that it evolved. I can see that in the banking processes. I can see that in how they did the legislation. I can see that inside of these educational institutions that don't allow for us to create systems where we educate our children to actually help our people. Everything that has been, even I went to a city council meeting just to bring it back to the South Bend area. And the thing that they said to me that was the most crazy thing is that we're training folks up to be great hospitality and small industrial workers. That was the folks on the 14th floor of the county city building in the economic development office. Talking about, yeah, we're going to make sure that people get the training to become great hospitality. I'm like, to work for y'all? Like, that's what y'all trying to do? Y'all trying to set it up so that we end up working for y'all? Is that really the game plan? You think that I'm appreciative of that? That's bogus. And, like, that's the type of, you know what I'm saying? Like, you think that I only see slavery in one eye like I'm 13? I don't have the same vision I had when I was 13. I'm a grown man. My vision has changed, and I saw your system change. But with that, I think it's time to go to a few images, and we'll be back with a couple more questions.
so grateful to have the opportunity to share a piece of poetry with y'all along the lines of what I consider to be economic enslavement. The poem is centered around the outcomes for my dad. What happens to my father? You see, he's no judge, no attorney. They hung him from a tree called economic slavery. Pine needles injecting, not leaves left bloody from an evergreen that is never green. Red like dead debt mortgages, survived by a fortunate 500 companies run by men who could barely wipe their own tail but want to call my mother a welfare queen. Then demand my dad for adequate health care and food stamps. You see, when you're the champ, it ain't called bullying or being picked on. It's called trying to win, live, breathing prosperity. Anyone and everyone in here is entitled to the entitlement, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happy, not hungry kids, profitable, not fraudulent. But I got a question again. What happens to my father? You see? Well, no, you don't. To disappear, he'd need to be here from the beginning, maybe benefit from immigrants, ignorance, stock dividends, and land grabbing, all while screaming, they're giving our country away. As another man works twice as hard for half the pay. Is this your dad? I often viewed fathers differently. I mean, when does he work and pick up his schedule for the week? And who has boots that clean? I mean, what happens to my father? Aren't the hours for our rent evidence, not hearsay, because you can hear me say? This ain't for apologies. This ain't for I'm sorries. No, now is the time for discovery of guilt, death, and servitude for centuries. Let's keep it 100 about the whole thing. You don't fear my father. You fear me. So what happens to my father is no longer your problem. I am. Ashe. Thank you for letting me share. You ever seen somebody do this before? Just so we're clear, that is a salute for any U.S. Army officer that you might see floating around these here United States. But if you absolutely must salute someone in the struggle for African liberation, make sure that you're respectful and make sure that when you give your salute, it looks like this. And it's also a great exercise workout. If you can hold it up as long as you possibly can, that's also really improved and greatly appreciated. So with that said, we're going to go back to some questions.
So we left with a really heated topic here. You explained that you are Pan-African, and I was wondering, for someone who identifies themselves as that, how are the interactions with other races who don't?
I mean, I think the same onus and responsibility that a German would have when dealing with a Frenchman or a Chinese man would have if he were living in America and he had dual citizenship is it's no different. The only thing that's different is that there's a mindset pervading the American conscience that says that I'm a slave. That says that the people that look like me are automatically due the loyalty or due to express some type of allegiance and loyalty to this country post haste immediately without any reservation whatsoever. And please stop talking about slavery, sir.
right? That's the mindset of this country. And so, like, once you understand that I'm not a slave, then it is totally understandable for me to be a Pan-Africanist. If you can't handle that, then you ought to check, like, the origins of why you think that I owe you some measure of allegiance, and not to, you know, the place in which you stripped my ancestors from.
Well, you spoke on the fact that a lot of people are maybe ill-informed about the history of our country or their own ancestry or identity, and you kind of brought up the point that you asked someone, hey, do you consider yourself a slave owner, and their response was, no, I don't. And they truly believe that. What is that kind of interaction like? If someone is saying or identifying themselves as being a part of a unified nation of, hey, I get along with blacks, I get along with Indians, I get along with Arabs, I get along with everyone, can you still have that kind of belief and be a Pan-African? Are those two things ever kind of crossing paths?
No, I think that we can trade, we can interact, we can pass each other in the street, we can play on the same basketball team. None of that is really that big of a deal. It becomes a struggle when people's ancestral roots start to manifest themselves. It becomes a problem when I act like a slave, and it also becomes a problem when people act like slave owners. So, like, if I am doing things to spite black folks, although I'm African American, or I start to subscribe to European or American values that put black lives on the back burner so that their system can continue, then that throws the entire system off, right? Like, our American politics is based upon what is called a détente system, which means that people have to pull equally on it. It's the system of checks and balances, in essence. It's just kind of said in a French tone, and it has a lot to do with kind of like this musical connotation of a string being tightly pulled. And so the idea is that you must kind of campaign for your nation. You must rock with your team. And when you don't, and that doesn't mean that you disrespect anyone, but it also means that you're very clear about the resources and the objectives and intentions of your people. Like, if you don't do that, then you train wreck the entire system. And it becomes a tyrannical and monopolized system, and you throw off the balance of that system. So as long as, you know, we've got black folks who are respecting their Africanity, and we have white folks or Indians and whomever not trying to put us in that compromising position inside of their lot, and oh yeah, you know, all lives matter, not black lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you start shouting those things out, like, we're not actually trying to create an initiative to be recognized as human beings, then we can coexist just fine. As a Pan-Africanist, you can't put other people's struggles, you can't put personal struggles above these two principles: the liberation of African people wherever they may be on this globe, and the procurement of the African continent for African people. Those two key pillars are most important to our Pan-African sensibility or ideology.
Okay. I've been in several debates about this particular question. I know I've gotten backlash from not only white people but black people as well. The simple question: can black people be racist? My personal opinion, no, because you have to first understand the definition of racism.
Who almost jumped out of his chair?
The definition of racism comes from, it's a power struggle. It's
Sure.
not necessarily about you're black and I hate you, or you're white and I hate you. That's called prejudice.
Sure enough.
I just have a prejudice against you.
That's
I
correct.
don't like you because of your skin tone. I don't like you because you eat mayonnaise, whatever.
Ashe.
But racism is based off of power. And being that it's based off of power, you know,
Give it its proper title too. It's racism, white supremacy. It's
Right.
not just racism.
right,
That's,
exactly.
That's the problem that people have is that they can't make the connection because they don't know the full title of what the thing is.
Exactly. I've been literally barked at by not only white people but yet again, black people who are saying, of course I can be racist. I'm racist against Mexicans. Wait a minute. That's a completely different story. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just the ignorance that's there, which is pretty much just the void of knowledge.
I'm prejudiced against red lights. Like, I stop whenever I see them. I'm prejudiced against police. Like, when I see them, I'm like, this could be ill. Yeah. So no, there's different predispositions. There's prejudgments that are made. Prejudgments are the same thing as your mom telling you don't touch that eye because it's hot. That's teaching your child prejudice, right? Because that's a prejudgment that you're making. And in addition to that, that also speaks to the détente system that I was speaking about before, right? Like, your idea or your objective should be for your own group or your own people, because hard to really understand without understanding it inside of like our economic context. We have systems that are called social aid systems, right? And the idea is really simple. If there are people inside of our society that are deprived of their housing, of their food, they tend to react kind of brashly. They cut up a little bit, you dig? Katrina style, right? Looting, run up in your store, take whatever it is that I need. And so, like, when you don't fight for resources for your own population, you bring down the quality of life and put everyone else in danger. And so that's the reason why we have this social safety net. That social safety net has a lot to do with the lack of agency inside of our country, because we have this conglomerate or this mashing or a homogeneous mixture inside of our community that actually kind of teaches you that the system will take care of the people as long as you take care of the system, right? Kind of like, if we're all unified, then everybody's cool. But what that does, though, is if that system gets broken or co-opted in some capacity, then the system is now unable to restore people. So that's the reason that I'm oftentimes so hard on different social aid programs in general, is because, like, I think of some of the things that I've heard about people who live in public housing, even in the city of South Bend, and all I can think to myself is, geez, like, you wanted, like, this system is supposed to be a catalyst. It's supposed to be great fertile soil for people to come out of that situation. And that's what we pay people to actually administer and take care of those housing projects, or that group, is so that those people who are in there don't stay there, right? But when you subject them to piss poor appliances, piss poor management, piss poor security measures, all of these things that degrade their quality of life, it makes it harder for them to leave out. And honestly, like, as a citizen of the city of South Bend, like, yo, you're wasting my money if you are putting poor people in compromising positions. With that being said, I think that's the time that we have. Ladies, I really greatly appreciate the time that y'all spent with me.
No problem.
I'm going to go up here and share another one of these quality poems. Hopefully it's quality, you dig?
You're coming in contact with the conscious. You're coming in contact with the conscious. You're coming in contact with the conscious. Leave the ignorance at the doorway. We are black-hearted and serious about supporting what's important to the nation, and that begins with the black woman. Maybe because she's a mother. Maybe because it's a movement. Maybe because you're intruding and thinking that we ain't ruthless, well-suited for the conflict. I can feel it in the air. Let me taste it and face it, the epitome of greatness. You haters enslaved us. I'm thinking segregation, economic castration, mass incarceration. But if they play this for my baby, Kaylee, I made it. You can go and take me. Once again, my name is Antonius Northern, and I want to thank each and every one of you viewers out there for tuning in to the Anchor Evening Gallery. Get your subscriptions to the journal, and liberate, liberate, liberate.